I disturb a hornet's nest up in the top of the hedge and I get one little sting. I'm over by the truck, no nest in sight, just taking a drink of water, and I get stung under my arm. This is the last thing you want to have happen when you're 12 foot up on a ladder. I have disturbed and aggravated a wasp nest. It's somewhere in here. I haven't been able to locate where. But thankfully, I'm far enough from the nest, even though I'm in the middle of the swarm, I'm far enough from it that they haven't pegged me as a threat and haven't started stinging yet. Now, the challenge that I face is that I've got a swarm of angry wasps. I've got blackberries. I've got to finish the tops of this cedar here. And it's a long ways to the ground. So one of them got me through my glove. So I had to make a quick escape out of the bush there. Can't really see where it got me, but it's right there on my knuckle. Yeah, there it is. It's starting to swell up. See that bump? Starting to swell up. Well, it was bound to happen one day or another. The problem with getting stung once is not that you've been stung. The stinging you can heal from. It's not that big of a deal. The sting, if you can get away with one sting, you're okay. The problem is that once you've been stung once, they release a pheromone that lets all the others in the colony know that you're the target. So if I wouldn't have gotten stung the first time on my knuckle, I would have been okay getting up there and continued working, because as I was working they were swarming around the business end of the hedge trimmers, but because it wasn't something they could attack, so they left it. However, that one that got me on the knuckle was enough that when I went back up there to try to do the touch-ups that I was working on, all of a sudden that swarm turned on me and I got surrounded and they started dive bombing me. That's the first sign. They'll start dive bombing you and bouncing off of you to test their target. And once they've figured out that you're the guy to come after, you better just run. So I'm going to leave that section for today. I think I'm going to wrap up. I'm not going to push my luck. Being on a 12-foot ladder in the middle of a swarm of angry yellow jackets is not the way I want to end my day. I'm loading up the trailer with all my debris from the job, and somewhere in this grass there's a yellow jacket nest, and I cannot find it for the life of me. And every time I come out to load debris into the trailer, I'm getting stung again. Once you've been stung once, they release a hormone or a pheromone or basically a tracking device into you, so that whenever I come into the area, they hone in on that homing beacon, and so it doesn't matter whether I step on the nest or not. What matters is if they smell that scent that I've been stung, then I'm getting stung again, and there's nothing I can do about it. And this is happening repeatedly. So, oh man, every time I get poked by a piece of grass or anything, I always think that I'm getting stung again. And if I could figure out where the nest is, then it would be a little bit different, because then I could work around it. But I cannot find where this nest is, and this bloody well sucks. So when you get stung, they inject this chemical into you that creates this homing device for any of the other insects of that species, not of that nest. It's not just a nest recognition chemical. This is a species chemical. So if you've been stung once, then you need to evacuate that area, because pretty darn soon they're going to be coming at you from everywhere. And today I learned my lesson about how aggressive these little buggers can be. I discovered a yellow jacket nest in the top of the cedar hedge. After I got stung, I decided to push my luck. I went back up on the 12-foot ladder and I started doing touch-ups. And what happened then was the other yellow jackets started to dive bomb me. And that's my indication that I'm pushing too hard, and I'm gonna leave the area. Now what I discovered afterwards was that I had parked right next to an underground nest. I still don't know where it was. After I had been stung by a second nest, I was wandering through the yard and getting my tools gathered up and doing my cleanup, and I started getting dive bombed and stung in places that I didn't even know there were nests. I know of three locations in that yard that I was working around, and now all of a sudden I'm out in an area where I didn't know that there were more yellow jackets. So there's nothing I can do at this point. I took multiple stings today and I'm not in a very good mood right now, and it sucks. I was supposed to clean out that last garden bed, get the last area cleaned out. I couldn't even go into that area, because now if I go into that area and there's any nests in the ground in those beds that I have to work in, I won't even have to step on the nest for them to come after me. I just have to be in the area, because I am loaded with their chemical warfare that I just come into the area and it triggers them. So when I got swarmed the last time and I was getting stung repeatedly, that's when I had to call it quits. That's it. The day is over. It's just not worth it. If you like this video and you learned something from it, give it a thumbs up. If you're my ex-wife and you're happy that I got stung, hey, give it a thumbs up as well. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you live in the South Surrey and White Rock area and you're looking for some garden help, go to gardenersforhire.com. I've put the link in the description below. You can shoot me an email and I'll get in touch with you. Keep an eye out for those insects in your yard, because sometimes they can be a real nuisance. We'll see you next time.